Hi, guys. It's great to see you. Welcome to the show. As I mentioned on the stream before, happy Easter to all the Orthodox Christian members of our community. Um, it's also the Anzac Memorial Day in Australia, our equivalent of Veterans Day. And a grave reminder of the futility and violence of all wars. And again, once again, for the Armenian people, it's a it's a day for commemorating the 1915 genocide of Armenians, in which the Ottoman Young Turk government, who has exterminated 1.5 million people, other Christian groups too, who were also displaced and chased away from their ancestral homes. But that being said, again, it's Easter for many, which means, of course, resurrection, renewal. So there's a new day, something new on the horizon, always another day worth living for. So I'm very happy to have you all on this stream. I actually was really into this recent piece on Hodinky that is on a watch sighting in a movie, which is slightly uncommon, the kind of watch we're not used to seeing, and I had not noticed before. This is Al Pacino in The Heat, and he's wearing the now discontinued Bulgari Diagono in the Chronograph version. This was a very interesting watch. I actually kind of like it in a guilty way, so to speak, as a guilty pleasure. I guess the bezel that has the Bulgari twice is a little over the top, but I love that case design, and I'm suspecting, again, it's either a Janta design or somehow inspired by him. They used to have a simpler diver's version that had its own bracelet. We can start pulling up some of the examples. And for those of you who would like to jump on and contribute to the conversation, the link is pinned, but I will keep posting it once every so often. I want to welcome, in the meantime, some of the viewers to the show. Let's see, R2K 2007, I'm here for the party. Pavel says the leads begin now. You know the deal. Sunday fun day with Vito. I don't know. I'm not being called Vito here, right? Diego says, love you, George. Sorry for getting upset at the end. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Diego reminds everyone to upvote. Thank you, Diego. I appreciate you. I appreciate you dropping by at least. Eric L., welcome back from Tampa Bay, Florida. Eric. Andrew says Diego explodes. Yeah, but I mean, if that's him exploding, he's a kinder soul than I am, for sure. Chili says no sound. Oh, okay, no, it's me. All good. I'll be worried about that. Andrew shares a verse from the Scottish national poet Robert Burns, "Man's inhumanity to man makes countless thousands mourn. Very poignant and very topical for the day. Diego says, Heat, great movie. Eric agrees, great flick. And OC, who likes pushing my buttons, says that Bezel is quite iconic. Diego says, told you I'm never coming back. Yeah. Eric L says, Pacino was a trendsetter. That bracelet scratching the watch like people do now. Original OC says, I'll hop on if someone much smarter than I does first. I think I know you are trying to make me say something stupid and vain, but I will go ahead and do it anyways. That condition has already been met. So hop on, OC. MLMJ, welcome back. So nice to see you. Ticking time, my friend. Lovely to have you here. My recurrent co-host, Aussie Expat, says, I'm a little sick today, sorry I can't talk. And Diego says, Aaron, hop on, OC will follow. OC is winking. All right. Oh, wow. So we'll take a look on eBay at some of these Bulgari diagonals, and you will not be surprised to find that they are soft as dog shit in the secondary market. Not the gold versions, of course. We're passing them by very quickly as we go down. Let's do it the Pontiff style, lowest first. These are the aluminum models, basically, that are cheapest. I think they might also be quartz in those movements, or yeah, I think these ones are quartz. The titanium one, the quartz chronograph, they're pretty low. But once you get to the full bracelet automatic one, for example, I think here we have an example of that, if that's the case. Now this is the rubber bracelet, but it's let's look at that. Not in the best of conditions, of course. This is the titanium version on a rubber bracelet, scratched to bits. There it is. There is one that's the latest version. Let's see. I remember seeing one of these. That's the ladies' version as well. If I'm not mistaken, let me check this other spot. Right, there we go. There we go. We have the Diagonal Scuba version, basically very similar. Of course, not exactly the same, as we have seen in that Hodinky article pointed out, from the heat in stainless steel. This, I think, is still a quartz chronograph. Quite possibly the one that Al Pacino was wearing is a quartz chronograph as well. But I think they had some of the automatic versions. OC,
Good evening, board and everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I couldn't let you bear the brunt of talking all by yourself uh,
Hey,
about this beautiful Bulgari.
the two accounts on which I'm guilty. I'm both a delusional fantasist and a narcissist, so I can go on for hours and hours and entertain myself and bore everyone else. So thanks for helping me out of my affliction.
No, I think the audience loves your. It's long-winded because you're the only person talking, but your monologues, you have no choice but to keep going, and you keep the content, the stream of consciousness content flowing. It's very, very hard to do if you've ever hosted a show like this. So I tip my hat to you, sir.
Thank you. So, Chunkster, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I mean, look, it's I'm not sure how long I can stand behind this watch. It's certainly very late 80s, 90s kind of aesthetic. But the integrated bracelet version, if we can find it somewhere, I think maybe it's one of the newly listed ones. This is it, Japan-based. It doesn't look too bad, does it?
No, that doesn't look bad at all.
It's automatic this time. Again, not in mint condition, but much better than everything else we have seen. It has its own character. At least it doesn't look like anything else. That's the best thing I can muster. And a crazy deal.
Totally. And I know that you think I was intentionally busting your chops about the bezel, but what's
Yeah.
fascinating about that bezel is that they continue that iconic Bulgari branding on the bezel to this day. I bet you could even pull up modern pieces from a collection that you could buy in 2022 that has the Bulgari branding on the bezel, exactly as it was 20 or 30 years ago. So there's something that they think is particularly appealing about that iconography, and it's unique. And so they're sticking with it. And I think there's something to be said for that. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it is certainly something they own.
Right. And the thing is also, if I'm not mistaken, that Bulgari design is one Janta design that they still preserve. Let me see if I can find the sketch. But I mean, they have invested, as you know, a lot into that. They have bought the brand. They have bought the Janta brand. They have bought, I think, some other rights as well. So they've invested something into it. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you know for sure that that particular watch or that bezel design was Gerald Genta designed or inspired, or is that just a guess on your part?
No, Bulgari is his design. I finally found the picture. So there we go. From Watch Time, of course, they presented it as 5 iconic designs from Janta's mind. Royal Oak, undisputed champion, of course. And there we go. So not the exact watch, but that bezel design that supposedly replicates Roman coin. That was Janta design. The inspiration for the first Bulgari was an ancient Roman coin on which the effigy of the emperor was encircled by engraved inscriptions. Man, this man was really special. I don't mean to fawn too much over it, but for me, Janta, in terms of his artistic vision and the craft that he had as a trained jeweler, really knew how to make designs that are applicable, that you can actually produce and have functionality. Like, for example, in another designer, this could be some absurd inscription somewhere else, but he just made it right by putting it on the bezel. Again, not something I like, but I can see the vision behind it.
I mean, he's certainly someone who wasn't shy about being inspired by things that he saw in other places and incorporating them into jewelry and watch design. Of course, the famous portholes, and this, and I believe, like on the King Midas, being inspired by the Greek architecture and things like that. He's someone who was not afraid to take elements from architecture and just other artistic things and incorporate them into jewelry design, which is not something that's done on a regular basis.
NZ Time Teller, by the way, he says from earlier. Of course, we were looking at the diver version of this, that the bracelet is bad. I have really not tried it on. It looks interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't wear as well as it looks. Andrew says, where the fuck is the super chat button? Need to get the subs up. I'm not there yet. I'm not even halfway. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm desperate. So the best thing you can do is to upvote, which will help me gain a little more exposure. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Try to get these subscriptions up for me. Watch my other videos. There's content of all different kinds of lengths, and I'm putting more and more every other day. In the meantime, if you do want to make a contribution, you can always consider using PayPal for that contribution, and my address is lordhellespont@gmail.com. That would be highly appreciated. And yes, it's no secret. I'm putting work and effort into this. Of course, I'm trying to get the channel monetized, and any contribution on that path, material or just your actual enthusiastic support, helps a lot, helps a great deal.
And I've squatted 3 or 4 very common misspellings of that email address. So don't worry if you misspell it. Those PayPals will come to me, and I will happily receive them.
I can reduce it to six letters, possibly, because LHV doesn't work. Gmail doesn't give me 3-letter email address. But Chunk says I can confirm Lord's PayPal works. I can confirm that as well. Chunk has been extremely generous since the beginning, so I do appreciate it. Captain Kirk confirms that this design relates to the Roman coins. Of course, Bulgari being a brand of Roman origin, now part of the LVMH group, right?
And we stand with Roman 100%. So.
Well, it's strange, right? You know that. God damn. Yes, this channel is not sponsored by Roman Sharf, and that's not going to be the case for the foreseeable future. Eric L. Bulgari is often dismissed as a fashion brand. Same thing happens with Cartier. This day and age, both have established and proven horological chops. What do you think about this, OC?
No, Bulgari, no doubt. I mean, and you mentioned this on a show recently, is absolutely committed to establishing its horological chops, and they've done so with the Octo Finissimo. And year after year after year, they are breaking records. So they are investing millions of dollars in talent and R&D to be a player in this space. And I can't imagine being. And Bulgari is owned by who? LVMH?
I think so, yes. That's why I was also surprised when they acquired Tiffany's as well, because I always saw Bulgari and Tiffany's to be competitors, but I guess they appeal to very different tastes.
Well, different taste, same taste. They're both very high margin brands, so and very lucrative. So But the fact that LVMH is allowing Bulgari to invest so much in watches and their horological development is pretty astounding. So, I mean, you and I have our opinions about the looks of the Octo Finissimo, but there's no doubt that they
Yes.
are to create a watch that thin, the new one that's super thin, takes an incredible amount of investment.
I'll actually try to address it as objectively as I can, because without mixing, for better or worse, my personal taste and preference, I think when you put Cartier and Bulgari together, I think when it comes to watches, Cartier actually has a better heritage, right? By a lot of accounts, when it comes to a man's wristwatch, the Santos is their design. The Tank, which has again quite a provenance both for women and men. Cartier Pasha, of course, which is another Janta design that could be counted as one of the iconic, but most of us can agree whether it appeals to our taste or not. Santos and Tank are two iconic designs that any other horological brand would move heaven and earth for. So I would place them slightly higher than Bulgari, but like you said, if we come from the contemporary, I know Cartier's numbers have been increasing, but Bulgari, as Seiko had been doing to pump up Grand Seiko at some point, they do everything to win these awards and break records to get onto that level of horological recognition. They had that Serpenti watch for women that is an iconic piece of jewelry, at least, let's say. But as a brand, like you said, they have put a lot of investment and a lot of effort, sweat and tears, so to speak, in the last 10 years or so, especially through the Octo Finissimo line. 7 records, that's nothing to sneeze at. Again, it kind of, after the Royal Oak, I think of all the integrated bracelet watches, I like it better than the Nautilus. I like it better than the Alpine Eagle. That doesn't mean I'm dying to get one, but it somehow appeals to me, Octo Finissimo.
Yeah, and if you add a third kind of jewelry brand into the mix, I think you just mentioned the Alpine Eagle, Chopard. Their investment in watches is very, very little compared to what Bulgari is doing to catch up to Cartier. And Cartier, for sure, their designs are so iconic. But also, if you look at the one that they introduced this year, where it looks like the entire movement is in the half of the rotor, right?
Yeah.
Those guys do not rest. They take what they do extremely seriously as well. So they're not about to be shown up by Bulgari at all. Those two are like amazing jewelry designers that put everything that they have into their watch divisions.
The thing with Chopard, Nick Fox makes fun of this all the time when he is together with, or he's interviewing Karl Friedrich Schäufele, the CEO of Chopard. He says, God forbid you actually advertise, your watches, you might end up selling one or two. And it's true, because Chopard has an entire manufacturer that is very well respected, as you know, LUC, right? Mm-hmm. Basically everything they produce under that banner has Geneva seal.
Mm-hmm. Top notch.
And again, they have very unique watches that you may or may not find to your taste. I find some that are absolutely incredible. Others, really too jewelry-like for my taste. But their dress watches, by and large, they can be just as interesting as any other. I think this is a minute repeater dress watch, for example, strike one. Ethical rose gold. I really don't know what that means, but I would like to know.
I mean, I like to think of these watches as watches for very rich people because you know, you have to have quite a collection if you're a watch enthusiast to finally get around to making Chopard as part of your collection, or you're just simply walking into a boutique or a very expensive store and the wife sees something that she likes, or you see something that you like, and it's 60,000 is nothing to you, so, or 100,000 is nothing to you, and you just buy a watch that you like because it's that day of the week.
This one is just absolutely stunning to me. Like I usually don't, except on a 4-digit day date as index markers, I usually don't like diamonds on men's watches, but this
is very Cartier-ish, Lord.
It's very
Cartier-ish.
Very, very tonneau shaped case. Of course, for $45,000. And look, I mean, again, like what is it hiding behind, right? You have a tonneau shaped case with a tonneau shaped movement. How many manufacturers do that? But no one even knows or cares because, one, the legitimate reason you mentioned, that it's too expensive and too niche for even the most avid watch collector, and two, they really it's like they're hiding it. They don't advertise this stuff.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that there are Chopard boutiques that are empty. I mean, that you can walk by them and not a single person is in them. I don't know what the rest of their distribution is like, if they are just in super high-end stores, jewelry sections. But I always make it a point to, when I'm in Saks Fifth Avenue, to look at Chopard and Piaget and several other brands too. I don't like every single watch, but undoubtedly there's one or two that catches my eye, usually the dress pieces.
Yeah, this is the rose gold version, no diamonds on the bezel, and it has the same movement, of course.
Is that the exact same dial as the one you just showed, just a different color?
Yes, I think so. I need to double check. I think maybe the other dial was actually inlaid gold markers. We need to double check that. I think this is just Romans. Once again, please don't bring up that Roman.
My brother actually has, if you go to the absolute top of the page, which is it was like a standard looking dress watch, I think my brother has that one.
Yeah, you see, this looks like it's like white gold index markers rather than something that is painted or printed on.
This looks like a computer generated image because the date window is just so integrated into the dial. It doesn't look like it's inset. It doesn't look like it's down a step. It's really, really tucked in there.
Oh, Mike, how long have you been here? Did I forget you?
Is this the real Mike the Snake?
Yes,
it is. It is the real Mike the Snake.
God.
I made it all the way to. I made all the way to Best Buy, bought a new set of headphones, and made it back.
Oh my God, I feel honored, Mike.
I'm glad I caught your show while it was on. I've looked for you. I always look for you every time I go on, and you're never on when I'm looking, and so I'm glad I caught your show.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I have to agree with everything you're saying about this watch. It's absolutely fucking gorgeous.
Right.
I'm the tonneau shape is I'm neutral about. I like it and I don't like it. It just depends on the watch. But the watches that you've brought up are both stunners.
Yeah, and white gold again is the diamond bezel one that's almost 45. The rose gold one the pink gold one is 25.
Okay.
I think it's
And
important to make the distinction, by the way, when you are mentioning gems on a bezel. I think
Mhm.
there's when you say a diamond bezel, people tend to automatically think gaudy, round, uh, diamonds, and those on that reference, they're beautiful
yeah, they're
uh,
baguette
baguette
diamonds.
diamonds. So I tend to, if it's a baguette dial, I like to say baguette dial because
It's
again, there's a negative connotation sometimes associated with diamond bezel
I
because of the
agree.
aftermarket.
It's very
Uh,
tastefully done on this.
this is beautiful.
It's not.
So
I agree. I agree completely with what you say because when people say like diamond bezel, you just instantly think Rolex rainbow or Rolex, blinged out bezel, and it's just it's basically a ruined watch. Okay,
if
whereas this they've laid in the pave or the baguette diamonds in such a way that they don't overpower the bezel. They don't overpower the rest of the watch. Um, and I'm sure in the sunlight they do their thing, But that watch they've really done a beautiful job on, um, and I'm
they
sure that the movement is something to be beheld as well.
they recently did a collaboration with the Italian sartorial brand Chiton with this special watch. Again, very oddball. The 36912, the uh, houndstooth dial, and the Chiton button there, the red dot. It's a
How
very
do they
interesting.
sell these? How do they sell these, Lord? I mean, this has to be what, 15,000 at least,
They
15 to
don't.
20,000.
Did you know it? Did you even know that it existed?
No, of course not. I mean, no one pays attention to these. That's just amazing that there's so many brands that are teetering on the brink of bankruptcy and are not the beneficiary of the rising tide that Rolex, AP, or Richard Mille have created.
Right.
There's some that have latched on, Longa and the Chopex and Mosers or whoever, that in that tier right below, that have Vacheron and a few others that have
Quick,
latched on. But these guys, like
I
dozens and
want to
dozens of these brands, are just hanging on for dear life.
I want to catch up. Big Meech, how much do I pay Paul to
Come
the original OC? I
on, was there
see, but
any $5? I'm happy to be muted for 5 minutes.
apparently YouTube is a place where integrity is for sale. So yeah, name the price yourself, Big Meech, and we'll negotiate. Milo and Otis, Big Meech is
Yeah,
love to have you here.
I'll
Pavel,
even I'll
more
even call him Big Mac, just to if he wants me to.
Octa is more interesting than this, and Cartier, I think it's a very interesting watch. Look, the way it wears, especially in the titanium version, but even in steel, it's like non-existent. It's a very nicely designed watch. It has a big presence. I'm not in love with it. I'm liking it more and more every day, but I'm not in love with it. Commander says Big Meech. John Galt, what is the most appropriate watch to wear? The Hoover Dam, Milgauss. Well, Tim's Explorer 2 looked great, I have to say.
Yeah, whatever watch you don't want to drop over the side accidentally.
Top of the morning to the Commander. Trading profits. This is a question we can answer as a panel. If you could have any Patek, ignoring monetary value completely, which one would it be? Platinum, golden ellipse in platinum. That's it.
Honestly, I'm not familiar with the Patek line to be able to make any kind of educated choice. Unfortunately, I claim ignorance. So OC though, he's much more educated on the dress watches stuff.
Not on Patek. I'm not. I know they all start with a 5. That's
I
about
mean,
it.
that's a beautiful watch there. I love TV dials. Um, uh, That's gorgeous.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. But if someone is giving me a choice of any Patek Philippe with price is no object, then it would be it would be some kind of grand complication that looks something like the Rolex Kelly, with a chronograph and a day and a date, something that is very old school Patek with a lot of complications and some Breguet numerals and shit like that. Some pump pushers.
I'd probably I'd probably choose the same, something like that. But like what Jamie Opulence has, those enameled dialed ones that are just almost one-offs because they're hand painted, and if they made one in something that bigger than 36 and with some complications, but honestly, I've never really
I'll show you something, Mike, since you said that, because they do make a world time chronograph. I think that should be still in their catalog. That could be interesting.
Is it like 40 millimeters or bigger?
Let's see.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh my God.
This is a new model introduced, $103,000 in platinum. The size is 39.5, so it's not 30.
No, looks a little thick, but I love the guilloche green dial. I mean, that's just to die for. I wish there was more of it. I wish they'd given more dial and less white around, less and complicated gobbledygook around the outside.
Yeah, I think there's two reasons, Mike. One, sometimes they do that. I don't think this is exactly the case with this watch, but sometimes they do it because the movement is a little too small for the case. This is only marginally the case here. Here, it's because one, the complication, world time all around here, and two, they also have the chronograph.
Yes, okay.
Subdial and then the outer track.
You've got to have the tachyometer scale around. So yeah, I understand that. It's watches like the Aquanaut, which is a bigger watch but uses the small itty bitty movement from the Calatrava. It's a little itty bitty movement placed in a much larger than it's made for case, just it's just a fact about that particular watch.
Of course, this is really a price no object watch. I understand that, but what an interesting combination, because it's world time, flyback chrono. So it's
wow, it's just got everything.
Lord, as my Patek sales consultant, this is a big fail. I really need you to help get me off of this watch and onto something that you really think I would like, because this looks like you dropped a green dime in the middle of a 40 millimeter case.
This was for Mike. This was for Mike.
It does kind of look like you dropped a green diamond in the middle of a Yachtmaster 2.
Okay.
As far as the white outer section just being so not convoluted, I won't use that word because everything there's there for a reason and sexy, but I'm more of a purist. Three-handers are my real love. If it's a chronograph, just a straight chronograph.
Which is why he will take the GMT when he gets it and remove the 24-hour hand after you get. No, you won't.
No, of course not.
Okay,
I'm not gonna fuck with it.
How about this for you, OC?
But I would prefer like a cream or a lighter dial, but that is something that fits the bill in terms of being very classical Patek that I would be interested in. Yeah, there we go. I mean, this is.
Yeah, that's we're getting closer. Like the micro.
We're getting closer to something OC would like, which is good for everybody.
Okay, on that white dial, One thing just an issue I have with some dials is where they have the complications just the same color as the rest of the dial, and there's not enough contrast between the complications and the dial, and so what you end up with is a bunch of little black lines and numbers all over the place,
Well,
and
you know what the problem is with perpetual calendars, Mike. Generally, it's when you are young enough to be able to read them, you can't afford them. When you can afford them, you can't read them.
yeah, I already have to put readers on to read now. I'm only 55. Um, but yeah, I understand. Still, absolutely stunning watch though. I mean, none of these are
And
are bad choices. I mean, look at those hands. I don't know what this style of hand is called. It's not the the dolphin hands. Those are the ones that are kind of pointed and
These are leaf or feuille, as they're called in French. You would know, Mike, feuille, right? You lived in Paris a little bit, you said, or France, you said. Maybe.
yeah, for Alsace, the French-German
Okay.
border. Um, yeah, in Strasbourg and Haguenau. Um, uh, what do they call it?
Which one?
The hands. What are the name of the
Uh,
hands?
leaf in English or feuille in French. So which means leaf.
Free. Okay.
Feuille, feuille.
Very cool. They are gorgeous. I mean, look at the time and energy that went into making that shape so flawless. Yeah.
Hey, Mr.
Just
T.
and
Lovely
look at
to
the gold, the raised gold numbers. I mean, and the moon phase. I mean, yeah, this watch.
so
so
Trading Profits originally asked the question.
right.
I'd be
What is
curious.
yours? Is yours the 5711? I think that was the platinum that had the baguette diamonds for index markers. But yeah, what's yours? Right? Is that what
Clearly,
you
you're
want?
not going to. Yeah, you're not going to tell us that hype piece is your ultimate Patek Philippe, is it? Trading
me?
Profits? No,
I,
for Trading Profits.
Um, Again, I have not even I've not even perused the entire Patek line to pick a favorite dress and sports and model and first thing I do is look at the watches that interest me looks wise. Then I double check their size to make sure that they're acceptable, to be considered size wise. Then I read up about them and go deeper and then finally price. Um, but I just honestly I haven't. Patek is kind of I don't like looking at shopping for things that I'm just never going to be able to achieve. So I don't put a lot of energy into researching
yeah.
Patek.
I mean, I can see that, but we were dreaming with Trading Profits.
Yeah, totally, man. No, I completely understand it. We're all enthusiasts of hot horology, so why not look?
Mike, let me get some of these chats. No, Nautilus is subtle. Yeah, you don't need diamond markers for Nautiluses to be in your face at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Matte diamonds themselves aren't flashy, almost blend into the bracelet. Dixie, welcome to the channel. Diego says, would be interested to hear Mike's opinion on the 5212.
Oh, Diego.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it right away after I'm finished with the chats. We are gonna pull up 5212, and Mike is gonna give us a quick review. The dial is a bit busy. I can't disagree. Dauphine hands, Dauphine, yes, absolutely.
Fuck.
Mike,
doing what I did to bust my last set of headphones.
I'd be curious, Lord, if you brought up the model the reference that Pavel mentioned, the 5271. I'd just be curious to know what it looks like since he mentioned that it was.
Let's see, Pavel, what was? I need to go a little back. I think 57.
He just said the 5271/11P-001, and he was mentioning a gem set watch that he found particularly attractive.
That the tornado shaped one?
No.
No, this is something Pavel mentioned, this is a different one, Mike.
Wow,
Okay.
that is cool.
Yes. Again, date and date, or date and month, one or the other.
So this is what, black diamonds?
Oh, black diamonds. Wow.
Is that what that is? Black diamond bezel?
Man.
Yeah, that's it.
See, now,
I'm sure they
that's
go
what-
for much higher. This is a Patek Perpetual calendar chronograph with black diamond baguette set bezel. And wait, they're on the lugs as well.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Wow.
They look blue in that picture. Is that just me?
Yeah, they do look blue.
They do.
I'd be curious if they have a light dial version of this too, with regular baguette, regular diamond baguette.
I like the blued second hand or chronograph hand on that. This one, the chronograph and whatever complication lines and numbers around the outside, they don't protrude into the dial as far as like that green one. So this one's a little more pleasing to the eye aesthetically to me.
But by the way, Chunk says something to you. Let's face it, you and I are simple, deep sea dweller type of guys.
Kind of, but you know what? I've been taking an interest in nice dress watches within my price range. You know, the glass sheet original Pano Inverse is a very nice looking dress watch that really has so much going for it. I keep saying it, and it's very unique in its construction and its execution, in that it doesn't have a dial. The dial is the movement.
By the way, DP 298K, probably in the secondary market, they are probably going for at least $500,000 now. So it's a little too late for us.
Oh, so I won't be able to order two of those then, huh?
Yeah. Trading Profit says, I have the Patek I always wanted, which is 5196G silvery dial, beautiful in person. Let's pull that up before we go to 52.
Sure.
And get Mike's.
They've done a nice job with the day and the date on that watch. It's not so big that it's blaring in the face like I've seen on some watches. I like that watch.
This is like the platonic ideal of Brava. Yeah. In dress watch, beautiful execution.
Those are Dolphin.
The Dauphine.
And just a few years ago, you could pick these up for under 15,000, correct?
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. 17 and a half, let's break the difference. Great condition, easily under 20K, but certainly 17 and a half, maybe 16, maybe 15.
Do they make it in different color dials?
Yes, all metals come with different colors. For example, 59R.
Like that with a deep blue dial would probably.
I don't think they have that. This is another shade of silver,
rose gold.
Yeah, and then 5196J would have a more enamel-looking dial, like a more pure white kind of thing.
I see. Okay. Very nice watches.
For what you're looking for, Vacheron Constantin Patrimony has like a very nice blue dial as a dress watch. Let me pull it up for you, Mike. There we go.
Oh yeah. Now, I mean, if I were in the market and that were 40 millimeters, and I were in the market for a dress watch, this would be very much being considered. The
What
Bauhaus
is this?
kind
What is this
of
fixation with 40 millimeters you keep bringing up?
that's just kind of a minimum size for me because I have really big wrists. And
Okay.
so 39, is fine. I just 40 is kind of like my cutoff number.
So you're saying it has to be
But
at least 40 millimeters
well,
case diameter?
39 if it's the right watch, 39's not out of
So
the
which is it,
out of the
39 or
question.
40? You keep talking about 40. If it's 40,
Well,
it's 40. Is it 39?
I like 40 or bigger personally.
Okay. All right. There we
Um,
go. Then it's 40.
but if I happen to run across a watch that speaks to me and it happens to be 39, then that 1 millimeter is not going to make or break the difference if
Okay.
the watch really speaks to me.
It's like you're using Rolex sizing, so it's 40 millimeter, but 39 is okay.
Yeah, kind of. Exactly. Like
40
the
millimeter, but 38.5 is good.
the OP41 measures what, 39.5 or 38.5? Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't like watches that look small on my wrists. That's all.
This is okay. Is this the 5212 that we're pulling up for Mike?
Yes, this is 5212. Sparkles reminds you to upvote. Please upvote and support the channel. Really appreciate it, everyone.
Let me do that right now for you.
Thank you.
You watch the number, bing, goes 29 to 30 right there, just like magic. Okay. As far as a review goes, I like the watch. It follows along the same lines as many of these other watches that we've just been viewing. It's kind of your basic round dress watch. The back is beautiful. The gold rotor's beautiful. The dial is kind of reminding me of a Yachtmaster too. Unfortunately, it's just got a little. It's got a lot going on there, and but it is what it is, a year calendar. Is that what they call a perpetual calendar?
No, this is what they call a weekly calendar. This is a very unique complication.
Oh, I see. It's got 53 weeks and
So
the months.
Date, day, and then the week as it corresponds to the month as well. And it's kind of a handwriting execution there.
Yeah, we pulled this watch up the other day,
Yes.
and checked it out, and it is very cool, and that's a very cool function. To offer both the week and the month that you're in, both as well as the day of the week. And is it also a chronograph as well?
No, that's the end of those functions. It's basically a three-hander with the weekly calendar.
Okay, so very, very, very cool. But again, the dial is just a little busy for my taste. The date I like is it's size wise, it's legible, and I don't mind that it kind of like negates the indus on the other side. That's sacrificial on watches, in my opinion. If the date is done correctly, now like on Rolex Sea Dwellers, where the date is so micronic you can't see it, and then they've made the watch asymmetrical by leaving out the indus and then putting a date that you can't read, then that's kind of useless. Or if they put a giant number there, that kind of overpowers.
Can I also butt in and say something? I think
Please.
Look, me being I'm a fan of Patek from a distance. Usually, I appreciate a lot of what they do and a lot of the heritage they bring to the table. I've always loved Calatrava watches. I'm not really into their sports watches as many people are, though. Again, they're important to watch design. Period. But I like sportier versions or quirkier versions of Calatravas a lot. And Thomas brought up something that I will show next. But this to me is how I imagine a sporty Patek to be, because it has all the classical elements, but something playful about it that gets it to that level where it becomes really interesting for me. Because when it comes to a dress watch, my Datejust is fine for me, but this is something that's very elegant and distinguished, but also quirky enough to appeal to someone like me. So I appreciate it.
Okay. Is it because it can cross over to into the sports watch range, or just because it's quirky in its own right?
I mean, I would hesitate to call it sports watch because it's just 30 meters water resistance. Everything else looks like a dress watch, but the way the dial is designed and executed, I find it just a little more adventurous than the
Sure.
regular Calatrava. So I like it. It's not a sports watch, but it's interesting, and it's something
Pull it up, Lord. Pull it up.
you can change up, because we have talked about this as well. Maybe I would wear it with a slightly darker colored strap. I think this is a little too sporty, in fact, for this watch. But
looks a little too casual for me, actually. That strap.
yeah, but I love the blackened index markers, blackened hands.
Yeah.
Those are white gold. The case is steel. So to get a steel Calatrava, that's pretty unique. If they discontinue it, it will cost an arm and a leg.
I kind of like the red ends they've done on the ends of the arms.
And
The
this
hands.
is 5134 is a watch. Again, I'm bringing up his name once more. Nicholas Fox loves this watch because he thinks that it's one of the great values when you get a Patek with a useful complication. This is the Calatrava with travel time.
So it's kind of like a GMT.
Yes. So the Aquanauts with travel time are really popular. So this is kind of its precursor, except of course it's Calatrava.
Like the only Aquanaut that I would consider to be just a straight three-hander, basic. I mean, I wouldn't kick it out of bed for eating crackers if it had those complications on it. But wow, I like that skeleton hand. That's really unique. It's kind of a dolphin skeleton hand. I've never seen that before.
Right. Actually, we talked about this, Mike, and you and I both agreed we don't usually love the execution of skeleton hands to indicate travel time, but in this case, it looks not so bad.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because it's got enough room between it that it doesn't block out what is behind it. Regardless of where it's at, you're still going to be able to see, whatever is the number is, and it's just very unique. I've never seen a dolphin skeleton hand, and that makes it very unique.
You know what? The thing is that since it's a quirky look and a different kind of complication, these actually trend for lesser than Calatravas from the same period, same kind of position. So, I mean, it's still a 23K watch. Don't take me wrong, but it's a great deal.
Yeah, I agree.
Quirky is one way to describe it.
Beautiful watch.
You tell me. Let's get an original OCD review of this, please.
Well, the one you're showing right now looks light years better than the one that you were previously showing with the big.
Okay, I'll show you the worst. I'll show you the worst example.
Ooh, that's really, really awful looking. I mean, really bad.
You don't like this watch?
No, not at all. I mean, this is just
really
awkward.
I was commenting on the dolphin hand. I did like that about it. Again, the complications just blending right into the dial kind of make them hard to distinguish. It's like it'd be nice if they were maybe a contrasting color.
I mean, I don't know how you can say that those blend when they really are kind of the opposite of blending. That you've got gold case, gold indices, gold Arabic numerals at the 3 and 9. Then you have these black subdials with black
I guess
hands and
it's
black
the color.
numerals.
It's the color of the case, color of the dial behind it. Is I guess what I'm referring to more so than the colors of the numbers. But
Well,
I see.
Diego,
I see.
Lord, are you speed reading these comments? Who can possibly read these comments as fast as you're bringing them up?
No, I'm reading myself, but yes, let's read some of the comments.
But if you're going to click on it, that means we're going to start reading it. And if you take it away in a millisecond, I mean,
realize
right.
Look, I'm not used to people working for free for me, so you have to trading profits. This watch looks gorgeous on a black, dark gray alligator.
If you click on it, you either have to read it or you have to allow enough time for people to see it, read it themselves, and okay, thank you.
So that was a comment that Trading made about 5212, I think so. And there's a Tim Masso review actually of it on a black Patek strap. It looked great. Dixie disagrees with me calling this a Calatrava. I call it a Calatrava because it's a Calatrava case and it's a reimagination of a reference from earlier, 2512. Check it out. But if you disagree, I respect that because it's not your usual Calatrava for sure.
You know what I would think would be interesting on this particular one, which I do not like at all, the one that we're looking at on the screen, is, and I know that the date window is there because people want to know the date, therefore it's big. But when you have the day of the week and the week of the year and the month all small across the entire dial, I wouldn't mind if the date were actually incorporated around the dial in a way where the date were smaller, and you maybe or if you had a subdial with the 1 to 31 on it, or if it were incorporated somehow around the entire bezel. Like
another little row of numbers all the way around or something.
Exactly, because this is it's functional, and I totally get it that you can glance and see the day of the month, and it's easy to read. Well, I get that, but to me, it's more about the uniformity of the weighting of the different data points that the watch is presenting. It's presenting the time, the day of the month, the day of the week, and the week of the year and the month of the year. So, like in my mind, I'm thinking that all of those should have similar weighting.
Well, don't you already have the date window covered by those complications already? So you don't.
Well, no, you don't. You don't have the day of the month covered.
Oh, okay. Well, by doing what you're saying, you would be able to add an indus on the other side and really even the dial out all the way around. It wouldn't have that broken at the 3 o'clock mark. Which sometimes makes a watch look better. Sometimes, it's there because the date's there.
The other thing I think would be cool if they did is the inner ring that has the day of the week. I'd love for that red anchor at the end of the hand to be longer, because why are you walking away when I'm talking, Lord? This is important.
Toilet break. I'm just looking from You take care of the stream while I'm gone, please.
All right. I'll try to make up stuff. But my point was that the little red anchor that comes out. There you go. That points to the day of the week. It only covers like a 1/3 of the area there, and I'd like to see it just a little bit longer. If you look at the one that points to the week of the year, you can see that bar is proportional to cover the area noted by the day of the week of the year.
The hands with the red ends, do they click and do they notch into their perspective position until the next day or week, or do they move like linearly, and so can you find yourself halfway in between Wednesday and Thursday with the thing, or does the red hand click and completely cover the day it's supposed to be on? Oh, no, yeah.
That's a
I
good
see.
question for Lord. Lord, I mean, we start off with the day of the week. Does the day of the week click all the way over, or does it move over a 24-hour period?
As much as I love this watch, I would like to move on, but there is like a 15-minute video from Patek that explains the entire complication. I'm sure somewhere there it also shows how the day jump.
I'd really love to not watch that.
But it jumps. As far as I understood it, because I was watching it on the background, it jumps and it doesn't just glide over. But we will have to save that for something else. But YouTube channel of Patek Philippe actually has an absolutely mind-blowingly boring explanation, a 20-minute explanation of the complication, which you can watch. So just quickly to go over a few things, J617 says, Mikey, I think the hands need to be loomed on a watch to make it a sports piece, LOL. Well, that's one way to make that distinction.
Yeah, I don't think we were. I didn't mean to introduce this or try to make this crossing over into a sports piece.
We don't have to respond to every single thing.
Lord is gonna ram through a few comments here.
Yeah, Cyrus remains everyone to upvote. Yes, guys, and again to encourage me to do more work, create more new and original content. Also consider
or unoriginal. I don't mind if it's unoriginal content, just as long as it's new.
Consider making a PayPal contribution at lordhellespontv@gmail.com, which works just fine.
Yeah, just remove the new and original and just say, can I just publish any content?
Okay. If I just regurgitate some content, stealing others' shtick, some other people do, encourage me to do that by making a PayPal contribution to Lord Hellespont V.
All right, get this shit off the screen first of all, and let's keep going.
Thank you.
Okay. There we go.
Thomas, I did say that I love that travel time Calatrava. Maybe that was the offense taken about that. That's also because it's called that's actually called a travel time Calatrava on the Patek catalog, even though it doesn't exist anymore. So that is most certainly what it is. White gold, yellow gold, and rose gold versions. Absolutely. Yellow gold one is the most common, I think. I haven't actually seen a rose one in the market, so that might be more rare. Diego says, thank you, Lord. Mike has a very unique way of looking at watches. He picks out a lot of details, many, including myself, look over. Absolutely.
He does.
Eric, gotta go. Work comes early. Have a good evening, folks. Eric, it's always lovely to see you. I said goodbye in the chat, but once again, thank you so much for being part of the channel. DP 5212 is nice. Not a big fan of the Croquet mallets pointers. Yes, that's the red accents there for the weekly.
Yeah.
Though I can't play Croquet. Well, neither can I. But I think it looks kind of cool. Yeah, you get some more size out of it with the pushers. This is, again, the travel time Calatrava. Used to be 13.5K, I'm sure, not too long ago. And all the Calatravas used to be, like, even the more reasonably sized, the 36, 37 ones was right under 20K, as OC was reminding us. Thomas, Yeah, jump to white gold that hand can hide. Yes, the white gold version with the white gold Dauphine and travel time hand. I think it's a little more discreet. Pavel says it looks swollen with the pushers on the side, perhaps. John Galt says, reminds me of the more awkward looking JLC Master Controls. And that was perhaps the 5212. Thomas Broadbent, I think this watch is about the potential of the information about dial design, steel, and cool hands. Absolutely.
Yes.
Who forgets the month? Well, no one does, but the Perpetual calendar is a flex in general, including any other function. You know, who needs the time when you have your iPhone at the end of the day?
Yeah.
John says, I would like to hear Cam's perspective on this. Is he banned here, or is it limited to Tim and Archie's channels? He's not. Cam has never been banned on this channel. Cam is always welcome on this channel. Cam was banned, to clarify again, from Archie's channel because he made inappropriate comments to about Oshin's daughter to Oshin, and I removed him from the channel for that reason, and Archie confirmed the ban.
Yeah.
Thomas Broadbent watch is so well balanced. Cam is only banned on Arch as far as I know. I don't know about Tim's. Again, Ozzy says, I'm falling asleep. I'm a simpleton. Arch banned Cam. Yeah, I just explained the reason. 1 month, boo. It's a little long, but that's the decision Archie took. And as you know, the pontiff is infallible. He doesn't make mistakes, so you have to accept it as it is. Yes. Now 29 days left on the ban.
Save Cam.
Ozzy says, I'm glad Patek exists and diverts watch collector money away from watches I like. Well, yeah, if Patek didn't exist, the Rolexes will be 2 or 3 times more expensive. That's a very good point. Does it jump? Yeah. Double check on. I will actually post a link to that Patek video. I'm sure it won't drive any traffic away because it's boring as fuck. Captain Kirk, like more boring than me talking to myself or OC talking to me. Imagine 5 hands is already hard to fit in. Captain Kirk says the Patek Dharma wheel, English Sanskrit like. Interesting. No. It had nothing to do with flipping. I explained the Cam situation. BC, so nice to see you here.
This is why you need to make me a co-producer, Lord, because I could have covered these comments in real time while we were reviewing the watches rather than lump doing them all at, so think about that. I'm a good moderator.
I know. I'm still learning to make people work for me for free. So again, you have to bear with me for a little bit. Consider subscribing, guys. Next season script depends on it. Yes, because Tim stopped writing my character, so I have to actually fill in the gaps now and find personality of some kind somewhere. So please, I depend on it, and I also depend on your PayPal contributions to the address below. Aussie expat asked about, yeah, that was very bad form. Half on Smash, welcome back. Upvoted. Don't forget to upvote, guys. Diego, yeah, and just to confirm, Cam really bought the Air King. It wasn't a fake.
Lord, I do have to compliment you on your knowledge of dress watches, and it's actually gotten me. It's opened my eyes to a lot of dress watches. I've just kind of like, no, no, I'm not a dress watch guy, but you can't deny their beauty. You can't deny their, when you come across an absolute stunner where the lugs are just done, in a perfect way. It's like I can't help but not appreciate it, even though it's not a sports watch. And
I'll put it like this. I was the first time I got interested in dress watches was actually when I decided to send my original riveted sub bracelet to Michael Young in Hong Kong. And when the bracelet was gone, I was gonna buy a 93-150 modern, the most modern Submariner bracelet you can put on a 4-digit. And that deal somehow fell through, and I got a leather band for the sub.
Okay.
And as you know, the 4-digit subs from 60s, they're much more sleek, much more subtle.
Yeah.
And when you wear it on a leather band, it's not a dress watch per se. It will never be a dress watch. It is a sports
But it still works. But it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're much
But
more
the feel-
svelte.
Right. The feel of it was like, okay, I always considered myself a sports watch guy, but this doesn't feel so bad. So I started going out of my way to look more closely at designs that I admired from far. And I actually fell in love with the Reverso, which I ended up getting not too much later, because for me, 3 years of thinking is relatively short
Yeah.
about a watch.
I will own a Reverso, and it's been 10 years thinking about a Reverso for me. It was when I first got my first watch, which was a sub, Reverso, and Panerais, and some other watches were on my radar, but Reverso was definitely one of the first watches that I really zeroed in on. That glass sheet pano inverse was one of the first ones that really caught my eye. It's still in love with it as much as the day I first saw it. But just me being a t-shirt and jeans and kind of guy, I'm not going to find the opportunity to be wearing dress watches all that often. So but you have helped me at least appreciate the dress watches more. They're also mostly out of my price range too. So
it's okay. Big Mac, like the snake. Big Mac screams to you from the chat. John C, what do you think of the Omega? This is my sore spot, guys, because I actually another watch that I got from my father was a 70s Omega DeVille that was in great condition, great dress watch. It was taken from me in a burglary back in the home country, so it's painful. But I actually, they're tinkered a little too much when you find them in the secondary market. But I like a lot of the older Omega Seamasters that are not sports watches, not divers watches. A lot of older Omega DeVilles. Today, I would probably, for that kind of dress watch, I would probably go to something like Longines than Omega, honestly. Why? If you want something of a similar quality without paying as much, and you don't want to go with Seiko Presage or one of the more predictable and even cheaper brands, Longines has a lot of interesting stuff in their line.
Is the DeVille the watch that has the kind of asymmetrical case that swoops in on each side?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
The DeVille is a larger series that mostly has, classical dress watch designs. Today,
Okay.
this is it.
Lord, we're joined by greatness. George Varghese is in the chat. George is joining from Bali, where he's on vacation.
Amazing.
George, welcome. You are
George.
a friggin' legend.
Amazing. So Corrado Galizia, Vacheron 4538 thoughts. I know less than zero about them, but came across a posting for one and was intrigued by it. Let's check it out. By the way, this is a quick glimpse of the current DeVille line. Of course, they have a ladies model there as well.
I'm a big Vacheron fan.
Yeah. So very classically shaped dress watches. I find a lot of Omega today to be a little too expensive for what it's supposed to be. but then again, I don't follow it as closely as I perhaps should. But
I love red dials. The Fume dial was really looking good there on that last picture.
Uh-huh.
4538. That's that's an interesting looking watch.
I kind of love those lugs.
Yeah.
Depending on the size, this can be an interesting deal. But I think it's small because it can't be. A Vacheron can't be this cheap. 38 millimeter.
Okay. So, one thing, like when I say 40 and 38, like you take my 40 millimeter sub and 50% of the entire dial is bezel. And then you take my 44 millimeter deep sea and it has the same size dial. They just made a fatter bezel around it. They used the same dial and same crystal. Well, not the same crystal, but it's still got the same size dial, even though it's grown by 3 millimeters. So when you get to a dress watch here where the dial goes all the way out to the edge of the bezel, it might not be 40 millimeters, but it actually looks bigger on the wrist because you've got more dial, visible on the wrist than you do from a sports watch. Yeah. And so, I will give dress watches that credit.
You know what I like about these watches, they remind me of what they introduced as their affordable line these days, as what is it called, 56, I think, 56. With that 12, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? That's what they call it, 56.
That's their casual watch, right?
Yeah, kind of like like a casual take on the
it's a hand winder, huh?
Mm-hmm. This one is.
I like that. I like the lugs on that.
Are there any other examples of that, Lord, in either different colors or different straps, or is that's just the only way it comes?
Let's see. This was a hi, Big Mac. Welcome to the panel. This was an auction example from Christie's from a couple of years ago. This is hopefully no pictures. No, there are. Okay. Well, I think it has those distinctive Comte de Vache looking, at least, lugs. I'm not an expert on Comte de Vache. I don't know if it would be called Comte de Vache, but it does look like it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very unique lugs.
Yeah, I don't love
it
the
depends
watch.
on the people. I don't know if you can look, Corrado, if you can actually try it on. This is a rose gold version, and like it seems like a very nice size for something from the 50s. You just have to look at the condition. If a 50s watch can be a mess, and it can be very beautiful and well kept. So,
yeah, the lugs are definitely the most attractive part of the watch. Gives it some style.
Yes. Very, very stylish watch.
So trading asks about 6006. Big Mac, are you there?
Hi guys. What's going on, guys?
Big Mac, what's up?
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Just thought I'd sneak in here before I have to go back to work here shortly. Say hi to Mike the Snake, a YouTube celebrity.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
YouTube legend.
Thank you. I'm humbled. I love the micro rotors. I'm a sucker for micro rotors.
Yeah, I never liked this watch.
I'm not a sucker for asymmetrical complications.
But yeah,
and they They came out with a 6007, didn't they? Which is a modern version of this, or no?
I don't think so. I think they just discontinued this, which makes it very desirable. And Archie had seller's remorse, so to speak. No.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. Well,
Didn't he own that watch twice? Like he had it way early in his career, and then he sold it, and now he just recently sold that again.
Yeah, this is very different. But I guess, yeah, you're right to say this is a take on that. Yeah. Okay. I think this is much more desirable, honestly, compared to that.
Yeah, I like this. I like this watch. Beautiful rotor. Dog, if you don't quit licking me, I swear to God.
Diego says 3 years. This is about my 3-year, 3-year waiting period for a watch. Yes, when you are 560 years old, it's a short.
Is that how old you are as a vampire, Lord?
No comment. They also have one with power reserve indicator. Rumi yesterday, Bukowski today. Actually, I know very little about Bukowski. For whatever reason, people think that I would know, but I haven't read it.
Isn't that who everybody says I look like in that movie?
A little bit. I know the
Yeah.
image. George Voorhees, good morning from Bali. Lovely to see you, man. Great to see you here. Aussie Expat says, I don't have a suit that fits anymore. I don't even know what situation other than a death or funeral when I would need a dress watch.
Yeah.
Understand, but just like we wear divers watches to write on the laptop, you can wear a dress watch in more than a wedding and a funeral. So I lost it compared to when I bought my suits an eon ago. OC, you got a dress watch?
I can. The two watches that I have that I consider dress watches are the Zenith El Primero Chronomaster, which is on a leather strap deployant, and then I also have my Daytona on alligator, which I consider a dress watch. So, and then I also have the precious metal watches that, even though they're kind of sports watches like the Oyster Quartz, the King Midas, etc., I consider all those dress watches.
Those are all definitely dress watches.
Thomas, I truly enjoyed the hippocampus design for the Omega. I think has always been very romantic to me. I love it too. 49's fine. OC has an amazing collection. I agree. That's one of the reasons I love that he stuck to his guns and he stayed in the community, because I would be very disappointed not having found out about the unique pieces he has. And he has just acquired a very unique piece indeed in the Texan.
George Voorhees is asking, have you looked at Glass Shoot Original? One of my favorite companies. Love my 60s with green dials. Some say some great details and secondary market for quality craftsmanship. Now, I have to say, Glass Shoot Original has that same 200, 300 years of heritage that all the Trinity and everybody else has. They're fully in-house. They're gussied up as any watch can be. Just about every model they make. Yet they're just kind of completely overlooked. I'm sure they make some nice dress watches that are very comparable to the watches we've been viewing.
George has, of course, a very varied and amazing collection, but he was mentioning before, a couple of days before here, actually, that he prefers wearing his Langes more to everything else at this point. And he says, just 49's fine. Just add an AP 26470 offshore with brown dial with blue subdial, and just placed an order with my Lange AD for rose gold black dial Datograph. That in itself is a huge grail for for most. Congratulations, man. Wear them in
Yeah.
health. It's Langes are great watches.
Yes, I agree. Again, kind of up or out of my ability to purchase, whereas Glashütte Original is still down here in within the atmosphere. Um, for a lot of their models, which is one of the reasons I like them so much. But they also offer so much. I mean, they check all the boxes in house. Um, you know, all of the tricks of the trade as far as the things they do, the Côte d'Azur lines or whatever they call that, and the machine turning and everything. When you turn, if it has an open case back, I mean, it has got everything done to it that any of the super high dollar watches have done to them, and that's like, look at that.
Oh,
That is gorgeous.
I like this one.
I'm a
This
Fu
is the one
Bezel
that
sucker.
that's what George was mentioning. Watch Nicholas has a version of this watch in this sort of fiery orangish dial. Love this watch as well.
Yeah, that is just that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. And someone who has various Langes in his collection, if he can appreciate that, certainly we can too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, just when I'm about to say something, not so kind about Glashütte, the fact that George Varghese has one, I think, gives me pause. And for
look at the backside.
For a good reason, right? Like if a collector of his stature has one, then there has to be something to it that should make us all think about what they bring to the table.
Yeah, I agree. Look at the backside of that one. I mean, I don't that one. I don't know whether it's a high dollar or not one, but again, it's had every trick in the book done to just about every part on it. It's actually a little more one of the plain ones that I've seen, but it's still got a lot going on. And more so than a lot of
matters. I use a 1950s Chrono as my dress watch. Yeah, as many of us do. Really discreet chronographs can be used in our time as dress watches. But yes, I think having a strictly dress watch is really a nice experience. Again, you don't necessarily need an occasion for it. You make an occasion to wear it, and it's great. Have another more classic dress watch that I will be selling. I have no use. I'm casual every day except for a very few special occasions. George Voorhees, I have a Glashütte Original 60s 18 karat gold white dial as a dress watch, JLC quality at a great price point. What do I think of the Coaxial Omega movement, superior to Rolex movements? This is like an eternal debate. Do you have anything to say to this, OC?
No, but I'm curious who's unwrapping something and what it is that you're eating.
Oh, sorry, my bad. It's
Big Mac is eating Big Mac, is it?
Yeah, it's lunchtime for me. It's 10 o'clock right now, so today's lunch is a nutty bar.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. No, I don't have any comment on the Omega versus Rolex movements.
Yeah, me neither. Look, technologically, it may well be perhaps one step ahead. People keep saying that. I don't know what yardstick they use to measure, probably plus minus how many seconds a day. Look, I like geeking out about certain aspects of the movements, especially if it adds a usable function, if it adds more power reserve. But I think Rolex improved their movement game, let's put it this way, in the last few years. And what's the standard movement now in the Rolex? I think is it 80 hours? The power reserve?
72.
72. Okay. And what's the Omega coaxial power reserve?
Wow, that's a good question. I believe that it was around 50, but I'm not sure if with the latest movement, the 3861, that's more than 50, if it's gone up to 60. I can't recall. I bet the audience is really smart. I bet you they know like that what the answer is.
Yeah, so those things could be different ways to measure it, but it all boils down to what you want and what you are going to use the watch for. If it's going to be an everyday wear for you and your only watch, you care more about how reliable and robust it is than how many hours of power reserve it has. I don't care much about accuracy when it comes to my watches. I guess it comes with the territory. I like vintage watches by and large, and even when they are much more regulated, they can't catch up with some of the modern movements. But I think look at specific points of data rather than going by a general statement. Rolex better than Omega, Omega bad, Rolex good. Look at what you are seeking. Do you want something that is more robust? Do you want something that's more accurate? Do you want something that lasts longer because you have a few watches that you're cycling through and you want it to be ready to go when you get back to it?
This is probably an area where I am a little bit out of touch with most of the enthusiasts in the community, and maybe you are as well, but I don't time my watch to the exact second. When I set it, I don't go through the trouble of saying, looking at the atomic clock and saying click, and hacking the movement. And as a matter of fact, I like to do my watch, set it like a minute ahead, because I don't want to be late for a conference call. So I don't really care about, if it loses 3 minutes plus three seconds a day or minus 2 seconds a day. But that being said, that doesn't mean that it's not something you should care about. If you read the forums and you read Facebook and whatever, it's not unusual to find a thread where someone says, hey, I noticed my watch is 5 minutes fast today. Should I take it in for service? I mean, these people who really obsess about the super accuracy of their timepieces. And I think the other people who care are the watchmakers at Rolex and Omega and these prestigious brands who spend tens of millions of dollars in research and development to try and get every accuracy as close as possible, to fine-tune accuracy as much as they can. And that's what they consider their life's work. There are people who care about the dial and the aesthetics and the cases and the bracelets and all that other stuff. But there are other people who just care about, patenting the next generation, silicon hairspring or whatever,
There is a phenomenon that Alex actually confirmed, an observation that I came across, and that is if you happen to let your watch wind down to dead or almost dead and maybe catch it right before it's going to stop, it will start to run much faster. It'll run 5 minutes fast that last day because it doesn't have the energy to swing the balance wheel fully in all of its directions, and so it speeds up a little bit. And so if people might mistake that for their watch running fast when they're just letting it run down too low.
Guys, quick question from George to all of us. What are your opinions on Parmigiani Fleurier kind of warming up to the brand? I know they're in the process of reviving it. They are using PF as their branding increasingly, realizing that it's not the most attractive name, even though Fleurier itself is, as you know, very prestigious provenance for making movements, especially. Parmigiani himself being a great watchmaker. At any rate, they used to be one of the best deals in the market. You know, Watch Outlet used to have their simple dress watches for under 7K a dress watch under 7K in precious metal. I think it was the white gold or rose gold version. It was an amazing deal. Nowadays, I think the prices are rising as it comes to many other brands. What do you think, Osi?
I think there's a great video interview with the CEO of Parmigiani. I think he's been there a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and maybe he's relatively new, I can't remember, but he talks about everything that they do and how everything is in-house. And after you watch that video, you'll warm up to the brand, I think, like George is saying that he is. And there's something about the new models that they've come out with that don't look like every other steel sports integrated bracelet offering in the market. They look a lot more masculine. The way the bracelet integrates with the case is extremely well done. They have a coin-edged bezel that's really attractive. The dial, what they've done with the indices make them super short. They've opened up the dial. It doesn't look like anything else on the market. So whether you love it or hate it, I think they're doing something different. I think it's just more masculine of a watch.
Can you pull up a picture of it?
Of course. Before I turn to you, Mike, and before I turn it to Parmigiani Fleurier, guys.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, OC. I apologize.
Oh, no, go ahead. Lord.
Before we turn to this subject again, before we return to it, please, guys, if you haven't upvoted yet, drop that like. If you spread the word about the channel, it's much, much appreciated. I'm trying to reach 1,000 likes. Check out my other videos. It really helps me to get that watch hours up. And obviously, I'll be putting more and more content as time goes by. Various different kinds, very short videos, 5 minutes, half an hour presentations. We mostly talk about watches, but I just introduced a philosophy for the everyday segment. I think we will have a segment on poetry quite soon. But if you do want to encourage me on this path to 1,000 subscribers and eventually, of course, monetization, you can always consider making a PayPal donation to lordhellespontv@gmail.com. That's lordhellespontv@gmail.com. Now, I'll pull up Parmigiani Fleurier's website.
Yeah, and obviously the watch that is the hot one these days is the Tonda GT, which is the stainless steel sports watch. And I don't know, George, if that's the one that has piqued your interest or if you're looking at anything else, but feel free to comment since you asked the question. And now I yield the balance of my time to Mike the Snake.
No, after this, I'll be jumping off. I've got my evening to finish out, but I'd love to see. Oh, okay. Very, very nice. Very nice. I like the integrated bracelet. The backside looks very beautiful. Wow, the sides look. I love the lugs.
Wow, this is okay. We have to find one to focus because that's the entire.
I like that 3-hander.
Because that's the entire collection.
Yeah, let's. This one. Yeah.
I mean that one's rather plain, but I mean that I think sums it up. Unfortunately, that the logo is shit. Even the attempt to reduce the PF. I understand why they did it, but the logo
skeleton
sucks.
Hands kind of.
I actually like the skeleton hands. I think those are
cool.
On
this
the way they did them.
They pull it off on this one pretty well. I think the plain dial without much gobbledygook on it allows the skeleton hands to work on that dial.
What I like about it also is someone mentioned earlier that hey, if you have a sports watch, you have to have lume, right? You have to have a lot of lume to be considered a sports watch. This is, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but as you can see here, no lume. But what that means is that it's more a luxury watch. because you don't have luminova or whatever on the dial, kind of cheapening it. This is so. This is it takes a different, dressier, more luxurious kind of direction. That's outrageous price, right?
Wow.
Yeah, 50
Whoa.
USD or more, in fact, because 49,000 Swiss francs.
But this is gold. I think if you find a stainless steel version, you'll probably find around 20,000.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there a stainless steel version?
Oh yeah, there's the stainless steel chronograph here, and then the stainless steel regular Tonda.
They make a
GT.
Panda. Do they make a square or a Tourneau? Is that a square version?
No, that's the reflection. It's round.
Different model.
Yeah, they have this one that has I think this is what this is second on the sub dial, or
I like that one. I like that one. Yes, very much. Now, this is a micro rotor design, or is it a wind up?
No, this is not. This is an automatic, but not. Wait a second. This is. Yeah, that's the rotor, but of course their stupid website design somehow doesn't allow me to actually focus on it.
Oh,
so
I see. I can see the rotor now. I see it. It's a full size rotor. Okay. Love the machine turning.
I don't know what the price is on this one.
What about
I think
that
that was.
square
I
one?
think it was 15,000. Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's 15.2. What
15.2
about
is
that?
exact same price as a root beer, Mike.
Yeah. What about that square one?
Which one? Let's see.
There's no square ones. It's just the reflection.
I didn't see a square one either.
Thought I saw one.
Do you mean this one?
Yeah.
It's another line. Yeah, Kalpa. It's called. Yeah.
Is that a different company?
No, same company.
No. An entirely different line. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, they have like a chrono, for example, in that line, blue dial, steel, around the same price.
Interesting. It's kind of Monaco-esque.
Yeah, you can say that. Yes, and it's on a. Of course, this doesn't have a steel bracelet. That's perhaps why they have a more complicated watch around the same price with a rubber band.
I see.
Interesting design elements, honestly. Very characteristic hands, those skeleton hands that are truly own. I don't think anyone else makes watch hands like that. The brand has a lot of character. I know, hopefully we will have him on quite soon. Bondage and Discipline has a Parmigiani Fleurier dress watch from earlier, so he can share some of his views and experiences with us quite soon enough.
I can't wait to find out which model George ends up getting. If for some reason I feel like in the next year or so that something from Parmigiani will be on his list.
Mm-hmm.
And with that thought, I say, hey, Lord, thanks for having me on the panel. Big
Of
Mac,
course.
Mike the Snake, have an incredible evening. Lord, have a great rest of your show and a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Peace.
Take care, OC.
So
it's always a pleasure talking with you, OC.
Yeah, likewise.
Lord, thank you for the education.
I mean, I wouldn't consider it that, but thank you for all the kind words, Mike. I appreciate having you here.
Yeah, no, I definitely look up to you as far as your knowledge on dress watches, and you're definitely more educated on the subject of watches than I am. I know a little bit. I know enough to hold a conversation, and I know what parts of them are called, and I know what I like. I think I have a little bit of taste, but compared to you, I'm nothing, and so I learn a lot. I learned a lot tonight. I saw a number of
Thank you.
watches that just were you know just unbelievable.
One
Um,
last word on Parmigiani. Prince Charles actually has
wow,
a chrono by them. That's this one in
that
rose.
is just beautiful.
This is it.
Wow,
Some nice guilloche work on the dial,
Lo-
different textures and
love the crown. Look at the coin work, the coin edge work on the double coin edge on the bezel,
yeah,
and the crown has a jewel on it, like kind of like Cartier.
yeah, and the date is in a very unusual position in between one
Oh
o'clock and
yeah, look at
4
that.
o'clock. So it's very
Look at the
quirky.
look at the
As
lugs too. The lugs are really unique.
Mhm, yes, but also very contoured. I would imagine it
Wow, look at that
pairs
rotor.
quite well. Um, yeah, I think it's very quirky. Absolutely not my taste. Very busy. The Roman numerals and everything. It's a little too much for me. But I know that Prince Charles has a very interesting and original taste. So good on him. Great
He's
choice.
he's probably got lots of others to choose from as well. So,
Of course,
um,
I'm sure. But it shows
yeah,
you something, right? Just like
yeah.
George is leaning towards it, the fact that he went with Parmigiani of all the other things that he could get is very, very interesting. Um,
Um,
Ozzy is taking
yeah.
this out of Parmigiani, saying P is for penis.
This is the first double coin edge bezel I've ever seen, and it's very unique. Um, so, yeah, Lord, I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
have to let you go as well. It's getting towards my bedtime. I haven't eaten yet today, and I had to run to the store. My headphones died, and I had to go buy a new set. And so I came back and plugged them in, and you were on. So I jumped on to say hi because I've been trying to catch you. I keep missing you, and
Thank
so
you
I
so much.
finally got you. And so I was
Thank you.
like, "Yes, I want to get on. I'm jumping on." And so thank you for having me on very much.
It's my pleasure, Mike. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your kind words as well. I appreciate it.
Sure, man. I will see you tomorrow. All
Take care,
right.
Mike.
All right.
Until then.
Take care,
Have
Mikey.
Hey, see you later. Hey, Big Meech, you too, brother. Love you, man. All right, you guys have a great evening or whatever it is for you in whatever part of the world you're at. I'll see you later.
Take care, Mike.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
It's the two of us again. What do you say to this question, Joe? Favorite watch rolls or boxes? 49's fine asks, looking at Everest and Bosphorus.
To answer this one shortly here, because I've actually had some experience with Parmigiani.
Okay.
I'd say Vosporus because I'm a little biased. I do like their trunks. They're reasonably priced for the most part. Um, Mine cost $1,000 because I had to pay customs on it, which kind of pissed me off. um, but you really can't go wrong with it. Honestly, it's good money. I mean, it's good quality for the money. Everest, I I looked into their boxes briefly. I think they look okay. They're nothing really fancy. They're not gonna like how would you say? They're not really for a display piece. They're actually there to keep your watches safe. And I would think coming from Everest, it's going to be decent quality regardless. So either or is
Hmm.
good, but I would definitely, if you wanted more display like look, I would go for Phosphorus.
I store my watches in pizza boxes that I collected from Venice. Uh, joking
From
aside,
plebs.
I think if you're looking for a budget option, Mirage is is great. They have like a whole, fake leather series of watch rolls. For three, I think it's like 69, which is very affordable. I think there's like a $100 upcharge for the actual leather watch roll, which still puts them at a very competitive pricing. I know Bosphorus makes quality products, but they have also by now established their own brand. So the prices have been going up and up. And of course, you don't want to be hit with that extra customs charge as well, unless you were made, they let you know in advance. Though Everest, that product line, I'm not familiar with it at all, but Bosphorus is good as far as I could examine it. I think Mirage is a great option at budget.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Ozzy has a good. I know he can't jump on today because he can't talk as he's sick, but he says Pelican 1170 is good for watches. I think he might have even a video on these on his channel. And Ozzy, of course, since you are a wrench there in the chat, you can absolutely drop your links, and you are welcome to do that as always.
I like Pelican cases. I own a Pelican case, completely for a different reason, but yeah, they're rock solid. Yeah. I mean, you can drop that thing off a 10-foot building, and you'd be fine, honestly.
Is that where you store your spank bank, your porn stash, Joe?
Exactly. They're gonna need a pry bar to crank that open.
Joe. Bosphorus a bit pricey for watch boxes. They start at like 500. Yeah, I think they have gone up since they started.
Right? Like $500 for a 3-watch roll, which is, I'm not gonna lie, that's excessive. But their rolls are really soft. They're like suede just about. So I wouldn't be too. You're probably overpaying by, depending on what you're getting, by anywhere from like $300 to maybe $500 over. But you're definitely you can get your money's worth out of them.
I think I have PayPal. I don't have Zelle or what was it that you suggested earlier?
There's Venmo, there's Cash App, there's PayPal, there's
I have
like
Cash,
you said, Zelle.
I have Cash App, which is $LHVVV. If I'm not mistaken, let me double check that.
I have Cash App too, so I'll probably send you some 15 cents.
I think that's my Cash App, George, if you have that. If not, again, don't worry about it. As long as you keep coming here and you interact, you ask your questions, you share your watch knowledge and your collection with us, we're happy to have you. Spread the word, bring in other subscribers. Anything and everything you do is helpful to me. But yeah, that's my Cash App. My PayPal for contributions is lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I appreciate you being here at any rate. That's the most important contribution. I am absolutely illiterate about crypto. So you can give me whatever you want. Teach me what app to use to take it. And I'll be happy to learn. I know absolutely zero about crypto. So you'll have to teach me, George. 49 Fine says, is that a stock ticker? No, Joe obviously has Cash App. He can teach you why one has Cash App.
Yeah, actually, it is kind of useful too. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, it's pretty much the same thing as Venmo. It's just a little bit easier to use, honestly.
So Ozzy says, I think Cash App gives you a crypto wallet. Does it? If you don't need to
I think it does give you the option, yeah.
Do you need to activate it?
I would assume so, yeah. I don't do crypto. I would assume you would have to have an account and everything in order for that to be activated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it does. I think it allows you to accept crypto or something, but I have never dealt with crypto anywhere. So don't again, guys, any contribution, any which way is welcome. PayPal is my preferred platform. But at any rate, right now, all I care about is to get to that 1,000 subscribers.
Super chat.
increase the watch hours, so I can start e-begging in the most proper way possible by asking you to super chats. We have Cars and Chrono. Yeah, he's a Southern California local. How about Crypto and Chrono?
I feel like that'd be JJ because I know he does he's really big into Bitcoin.
That's right. That's what I heard. Thomas, you're doing great. Thank you for your kind words. 495 says, I think PayPal now has crypto too, but not sure about sending crypto. I have no idea. I might as well be financially illiterate, guys. In this point in time, I have completely lost track of all these new cryptocurrencies that have been coming out. So someone has to educate me on it. 495 reminds us to upvote. Aussie Expat says, give him Dodge or Sol, or then he can sweat about the ups and downs. LOL. Yeah, add to my stress in my life. Wow, that would be great. I could do Crypto and Chrono. Aussie Expat says, I love crypto. Crypto and Chrono. New troll name coming soon. LOL. 495. Joe, do you know anything about crypto?
I know the bare minimum of it, and I know that I don't trust it personally, but I'm pretty old school with the way I financially invest. The problem I have with crypto, just in a nutshell, is 90%, or maybe not 90%, but at least half of its demographic is the younger generation that do it just because they want to be part of a trend. In my personal viewpoint, of course. And when you have a stock based off a based off a trend, and based off a meme, I just don't see it to be a legitimate. How do I word this correctly? I don't see it to be have longevity. There we go. Like a standard stock would, because people eventually, the younger generation gets bored, likes to move on to the next big thing very fast. So that's kind of my viewpoint in a nutshell.
Aussie Expat says, let me buy you some ape coin. I don't know what that means. Chunk says, do you take Monopoly money? I know 495's fine. I know to wait for a 30% drop or more before buying crypto. Thomas Broadband says money laundering and memes. Yeah, that could be another. But I wouldn't want anyone to associate that kind of troll name with Cars. Cars is a startup person, and he has made his money right here with coming up with great ideas. So that's why he prepared an entire business plan for Archie. I don't know if Archie wanted to take him up on that offer.
Based off of Archie's response, I don't think he's going to be taking or saying yes to the offer anytime soon.
Aussie Expat says, I'll buy a Patek 5711 NFT. You get a link to a JPEG link to a picture of a 5711. Hey, if it's good resolution, I'll take it, as long as you're just giving it to me for free. That's as close as I would get to a Nautilus, which to me is it's not even second best to Royal Oak, if you ask me. But hey, people love it, people desire it like crazy. More power to them. Well,
Yeah.
what's your look? I know you have your Cartier Santos, of course, but what's your viewpoint on these Royal Oaks and Nautiluses and other integrated bracelet sports watches?
Um, I don't know. I guess I do like them, and then to kind of loop around. So my boutique, or not my boutique, my AD in Minneapolis, they're an authorized dealer for Parmigiani, and I got to kind of screw around with them a little bit, and I think they're actually really nice, honestly, in person. And they got to throw one on the wrist, and those bracelets kind of just hug your wrist
Yeah.
like a JLC Polaris bracelet. It just basically kind of forms around your wrist, and it feels really nice. It feels great. I think Parmigiani. I mean, name aside, I think they do fantastic things. Honestly, the only reason I couldn't buy it is because I knew the thing's softer than dog shit, as Archie would say. Um, and as a matter of fact, that boutique or that AD, excuse me, they were one of the, I think, what was it? One of the 15 in America that
Okay.
were able to stock two of the limited edition Parmigiani. It was like olive green, and it was a very special occasion for them because like, they weren't even on the list to
Mhm.
make the cut. Um, but as far as integrated bracelets go in general, I do like them. I'd like to see them more often, more frequently. I would love to feel what a Vacheron feels like because I hear they're absolutely incredible on their overseas. But the
Mm.
odds of me actually feeling one are probably next to none unless I come by one used. But I have felt an AP. I think it feels fantastic the way it forms. It's fantastic. I'd like to definitely see more brands kind of utilize it, but at the same time, yeah, I can understand where it become a very played out trend as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the original always will hold a special place in my heart. So Audemars Piguet Royal Oak is I think a great piece of design, and not only uh, horologically speaking, not only in the world of watches. I do appreciate some of the other designs as well, but I think it's becoming an overplayed genre. I would love to see how this Parmigiani Tonda PF feels on the wrist. I tried Vacheron Constantin overseas in 2017. They were not at all popular then. The boutique was giving me a 5% discount. Um, it didn't speak to me. It didn't sing, so to speak, right? And it has to. Otherwise, why spend so much money? Even the list
Right.
price at the time, which was not cheap. I mean, it was. I think it was like what? I think after the discount, it was like right under 13K plus tax or something like that. And again, people will call me an idiot for not taking that deal, but it just didn't speak to me, and I absolutely don't regret not taking it. I think the bracelet is a little overrated, if you ask me, but it is a good bracelet. And the quick change mechanism, I think, and the fact that it just comes with all the three options, leather, rubber, and the integrated bracelet look, that's a big plus, big plus.
Absolutely.
I may give up over time, root beer over blondie for sure. Um, Great philosophy, Mike. Love it. Um, George says, I was having breakfast today and two guys were talking about overhyped watches. One said Nautilus and the other said Royal Oak. I was thinking Oyster Perpetual. Your opinion? Um, Look, the thing is with Royal Oak and Nautilus, yes, they weren't as popular in the 70s as they are now. Um, Especially the Nautilus was more or less asleep uh, in the 80s and 90s. No one really cared for it, except for some very quirky collectors, a lot of Italians, and one Nicholas Fox. Um, I'm exaggerating, of course, but it was really, really not popular. And anyone who walked into a Patek AD in the first half of the 2010s can assure you of that. Royal Oak, however, at least since 2012, but even earlier, has been becoming hyped and hyped. I think the fact that they caught on with a lot of the rappers like Jay-Z and Dime Dash and a lot of people around them already got them the kind of exposure that Nautilus got by being mentioned in Drake's songs and other hip hop songs. So I would always go with Royal Oak. Oyster Perpetual, this is the very first generation it became desirable in any way, and Rolex had Oyster Perpetuals forever. So Royal Oak is my take out of those three. What would you take, Big Mac, between Nautilus, Royal Oak, and Oyster Perpetual?
Well, I mean, if you want to look at it in today's standards, I would say the Oyster Perpetual, right? I mean, it's a $6,800 watch, $7,000 up the door, and you got guys slinging them around for like 40 to 50 grand.
Yep.
But if you want to look at it at retail price, I'd probably say the Nautilus, honestly, because the Nautilus, granted, I mean, I don't know, how do I describe it? It's like if Rolls-Royce were to come out and create a standard crew cab pickup truck. Realistically, you couldn't do anything with it, honestly. I mean, it probably gets terrible gas mileage, 8 miles for the gallon, if that. It's just very thick, bulky, proportionally. The Cybertruck from Tesla, there we go. That's the better example. It just, yes, while it is designed to be a sports model, it just lacks the DNA of one. It's just, it's got the mirage of being a sports model without being actually having the capabilities of sports models. And I think that's what makes the Nautilus so overrated.
Thomas Broadbent says the Vacheron Overseas ultra thin white gold feels so good. That was, I think, the first model they came out with after the stainless steel version. I never actually saw it in real life and handled it, but I'll take your word for it, because that looked so good to me too, even better than the stainless steel version. Yet again, it's just not what I'm looking for. In retrospect, the first gen Overseas, I'm guessing you're saying the 222 blue with Arabic, or maybe the second gen, which is the first one called Overseas. I always get confused with the generations on these ones. Some of those older Aquanauts, Aussie Expat says, looked effing awful, at least the pictures I've seen of the older ones. I completely agree. I think the way that the rubber band was not yet flush and curved at the edge of the case, that changed the game for the Aquanaut. If you ask me, I don't like the older versions because of that. I did see it on an older lady's wrist once, like the one with the white rubber band, white dial with diamonds on the bezel. It looked very graceful, but the older steel versions of it with the rubber bracelet or rubber band not sitting flush to the case, I think it doesn't look great. Now it looks a little better because the pattern on the rubber band goes along really well with the globe design on the dial. So that's I like Aquanauts a little better than Nautiluses, to be honest. So Mike the Snake was gathering quite a collection there in the chat. Vacheron, third generation Overseas blue three-hander with steel bracelets, Glashütte original or original, Pano inverse, Omega Seamaster Heritage Lollipop hand, 50 fathoms, root beer, mainly because I'm not a gold guy, but the Ever Rose speaks to me. I could go on and on, man. Watches are a deep hole. Ain't that the truth? Mike the Snake says, again, I love learning more about the watches, even when I'm not directly attracted, just so I know. To know is better than not to know. Lord is a wealth of information. Thank you so much for your kind words. Mike. I really appreciate it. Guys, with that being said, again, we have about 45 minutes to go, so keep your questions coming. I love interacting with the chat. I love bouncing off ideas. I love trying to respond to questions. It always teaches me more as well as I go on and find more information about these watches. So please keep them coming. In the meantime, again, if you have been enjoying the content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and spread the word about the channel. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. And in the meantime, if you want to encourage me in creating new and original content, come up with different segments, make different kinds of videos, consider making a PayPal donation. And the address for that is lordhellespontv@gmail.com. Also, my main contact. Send me all your questions. If you want me to dedicate a live stream for you, to answer your questions, to respond to your requests, just a nominal donation to PayPal, just a nominal contribution to my PayPal account would suffice. So I'm always waiting for your input. You can contact me at lordhellespontv@gmail.com. George is going to get some lunch. Have a great night back home. Thank you so much for dropping by, man. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you, George. Thomas Broadbent, the 6K 36 millimeter Aquanaut is very cool, wonderful. Yes, the smaller sizes are still a comparatively better deal, but yeah, even they have jumped up quite significantly. What do you think about the Aquanauts compared to Nautilus?
I don't know. I guess I really don't have much of an opinion on the Aquanauts. I've always, I don't know. Considering I'm a very shallow character, I kind of got brainwashed into the generalization that the Aquanaut is a poor man's Nautilus. It's what you get when you can't afford a real Patek. But with that being said, I also understand the hype of it nowadays because, especially after John Mayer did that whole Houdinki interview, the Aquanauts absolutely fucking imploded. Especially that the grenade, as it's been dubbed, forget about it. You can't get one. You can't. Even the devil himself can't get you one. Which is crazy. Would I own an Aquanaut? Screw it. I probably would, honestly. Would I go out of my way to get one? Probably not. But I just don't. I don't hate them, but I just don't lust after them either.
Well, here's my opinion on it. First of all, I thought before it became hyped up and before we started talking about it as entry level Patek, before I even knew much about Patek as a brand, I saw it in 3 different places, or you might say 2. As you know, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr both wear Aquanauts. So that I always thought was something cool. 2 members of Beatles now wearing an Aquanaut. I thought that's amazing. There's also an Italian industrialist whom I seen wearing a very nice Paul Newman Daytona. His name is Jacopo Morelli, and his other watch is an Aquanaut as well, a 5167 specifically, so the current model. And I always thought it was a cool watch to wear because of the rubber band, and at a certain point in time, that was the only Patek really that you could get with a rubber band. So yeah, and I think that's still the case, isn't it? Right? There's no Nautilus with a rubber band.
As far as I know, I think that's the only Patek you can get on rubber.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of cool. It's like off the beaten path. Again, still, I would, again, money being no object, I would just choose anything in the Patek lineup. I think I would go with the platinum golden ellipse. But hey, yeah, the previous generation I just don't like as much. Again, not being wedded to the model to begin with, I just don't like the way. Well, I much prefer the way, let me put it this way, that in 5167A, you have a design that is more coherent, more integrated, right, in this particular way. Thomas Broadband says, I used to be in the no low K functional. This is right. Your thoughts on the JLC number 2 reversal. What does it mean, number 2 reversal? I really don't know. I don't know what it means, number 2 reversal. Yeah, give us more information, Thomas. Vacheron Quay, yeah, I remember that they discontinued that watch right away, almost, right?
I don't know Vacheron's line honestly that well. I mean, if it's not the overseas, I'm not interested. Come on, Lord, you know this about me. I buy high pieces only.
You're funny. Yeah, kind of true though. I mean, you have your taste within the so-called hype pieces, but yeah, you're kind of more like Bear in that case, right? It needs to be hyped up for you to jump on the bandwagon.
I mean, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I'm also limited with what I can wear, honestly. I mean, I'd love to have a Zenith. I'd love to have an overseas. I could have had the opportunity to buy a Patek Philippe World Time in rose gold. It was the 38 millimeter version, I believe, and it looked a little too big for my wrist. So I actually am kind of bent over a barrel when it comes to some of this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, with all the shit you talk about the girl size watches, you seem to enjoy a lot of them, Big Mac. What do you say about that?
I will not go quietly into that. Good night, sir.
Platinum and tourbillon. Okay, I think I think at some point Team Masso had that watch, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, reversos with complications, I'm enamored with them by and large. I don't know if maybe one day I will just focus on collecting reversos. Honestly, I'm very, very tempted, because you can actually build quite a respectable collection with the kind of money that would get you 3 or 4 hype watches. So it's always tempting.
I'm kind of tempted to see. It would be very hard and it'd be very niche. But I'm trying to see if I can potentially get a rubber strap for my Vacheron, like a black silicone one where it's subtle. It doesn't look like a sports watch strap. I don't know. I
Which
just feel
one
like it
you
would
mean?
be a decent look. So the initial plan was I was going to do it off the
Wait,
the
what Vacheron do you have? I'm confused.
I don't have a Vacheron.
Which one?
Well, I was initially gonna get a JLC Reverso with the re-edition that red dial one, that maroon one, and then I was gonna throw it on a black rubber strap, so it would have been like an official
You mean
sports
a
watch at that
Reverso?
point.
You mean a
Yeah.
Reverso? You keep saying Vacheron. I'm like, what Vacheron?
Oh,
You were getting me
Well-
embarrassed here because I reviewed your entire collection and I was like, did I forget? Okay,
but no, I
go.
was thinking about it, and it's like, shit. But I don't think it would work because of the way the lugs are kind of just laid out.
I think at some point, I don't know for which size, but at some point they made some sort of rubber strap for the Reverso. I know this for a fact. I could never find a picture afterwards, but next time I go to the boutique, I'm most certainly going to ask.
I see them on NATO's a lot more than I care to see them, honestly. So I mean, like, I figure, like, if you can throw them on a NATO, why couldn't you throw it on a rubber strap?
Well, look, worst case scenario, you can probably find one of these companies that have mushroomed all over the internet to make you something. But yeah, it could be an interesting project. I think. Look, I mean, I think the Reverso, again, is such a pliable and versatile watch. It's not in this day and age a sports watch, that's for sure. On the other hand, there are a lot of aspects of it that are very sporty. It all, of course, has a sporting heritage that's connected with the game of polo. I think a rubber strap could be an interesting touch. I've seen pictures of squadras on rubber, but I haven't seen any pictures of a Reverso with a rubber strap. This is it. Okay, I was looking for number 2. This is it. Platinum case, power reserve, seconds on the subdial, and then you have here the tourbillon in the back. Wow. Incredible watch. And they have those, the movement is decorated with those like Art Deco sun rays. Jesus. And I think the movement itself is white gold. And what? How much is? Under $60,000? I mean, again,
throw it on a credit card, Lord. Throw it on a credit card.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is like one of 500 pieces, platinum piece, white gold movement, tourbillon. What other watch can get you that? Look at that movement. Yeah, I mean, look, you can build a very respectable collection of only Reversos for a fraction of humdrum collection of hype watches. So it's tempting. It's very, very, very tempting. Yeah, I will not sell and consolidate, unless I have to, take my leave from the planet. So that can't be that kind of buy for me. But hey, that's interesting. But yeah, the 60th anniversary edition is great. The 70th anniversary edition is great. They have a lot of fantastic special editions that are very unique, like the number 1, for example, right, which is like an open worked skeletonized version, which is really not my taste, but again, something they did in the past.
You know what I don't get? And And I'm not trying to have I'm not trying to have a swing at Mike, but the fact that he talks about that root beer, the man loves the root beer and everything
Yes.
about it. I don't get why he just doesn't dump his sub and get a root beer. It would be different if he'd gotten a sub at retail, but since he paid 16 grand for it, he obviously, I mean, if given the two, if you laid the two out in front of him, he'd pick that root beer every day of the week. So he can always go back to the sub. I mean,
I think
but
it's very simple. I think it's very simple, Joe. I think it all boils down to the emotional connection that we all have to our watches. And Mike has said this many times on live stream. He's trying to rebuild the collection he lost. So for him, he can't give up on the sub because that was part of his collection. And yes, I think he does love the root beer and he wants one at all costs, except it has to be at retail. And I think that's why he doesn't want to give up, because he wants each and every piece of that collection back, and then he can do other things with watches. I think he is completely fixated emotionally on rebuilding that collection, and nothing can get in his way until he achieves that.
totally understand that, but and again, I'm not again not trying to have a swing at him, but the sub is easy to quote unquote easy to get, and it stays consistent at the 16, 15K price, as where the root beer admittedly it's dropped a little bit in price, not by much, not that it makes a difference, but the root beer stays consistent and keeps rising from 26 to 27 to pushing 30. I feel like it would be priority at that point. If I was in his shoes, I'd be like, now's the time to strike. And then I can get the root beer down the line. But, you know, more power to him if he can, you know, it can wait it out for that long.
Oh, it can happen. I think it's not that unrealistic, actually. And honestly, you know, I know it grates on people when he keeps saying that he wants one at retail, but you know, I think sometimes putting your foot down and putting, you know, drawing your red lines, that's the best way to negotiate. I think he doesn't go out of his way to find it hard enough. You know, he doesn't drive like hundreds and hundreds of miles to grate down on the doors of various ADs, because I do think that in different parts of the country, certain models, not necessarily the root beer, might be easier to get. But hey, I think I respect it, and I understand exactly what he means. Thomas says old root beer with gold through bracelet is the one I prefer the most in 2002. I'm stuck with the nipple dial when it comes to the vintage root beer. For me, it also has to be a root beer has to be on a Jubilee bracelet. And I have the Jubilee bracelet for mine, the two-tone, and not the original, but something that fits with the right end links. Yeah, for me, I'm with the nipple dial. I will have to show off now that it came up.
Show us your nips.
The root beer's nips, not mine, but this is my little beauty.
Oh, man, those are pretty cool to see in the wild or in a display case. They're very unique.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really nice with this particular strap. Bert Okay. Thomas says, I like the nipple. Yes, I love nipple dial Rolexes. I also love the nipple dial Submariners, gold subs. Amazing. Bert K says, are all Rolex ADs created equal in terms of allocations? Absolutely not. I think Geary's, for example, since you said you are in LAOC, having all these different branches must get dozens and dozens allocations probably on a weekly basis. Not all of them, of course, hyped up models, but people are still getting watches through these ADs, I can assure you. I remember one day waiting my turn to talk to the Patek boutique run by Geary's, and an older couple just walked through the door, and they had like a store manager from another branch with them. And I mean, they might as well have kicked me out of the store. They basically told me, well, you'll have to wait much longer because we will deal with this customer, in a slightly nicer way. And that just goes to show you, right? You know, if they can disrespect you to your face like that and not have a problem with it, imagine, you know, when a watch comes in and whatever place you are on this imaginary waiting list, they're always going to say, you go to the side, here, sir, please buy this watch from us. So, yeah, when it comes to a lot of the authorized dealers in the Los Angeles, Orange County area, unless you already have a preferred relationship, you will have a hard time. But of course, some of the dealers like Tourneau, for example, they get a lot of allocations. Geary's gets a lot of allocations. Bindi is nothing to sneeze at. But sometimes I genuinely think, even though I don't have the experience, but as an hypothetical, I genuinely think it must be easier to get certain models from the authorized dealer in North Dakota. Maybe I'm being stupid, but
You're probably not too far off there because they. I don't know if struggle is the right word, but they're definitely in the same competition. So, like my boutique one, like I said, the boutique for them is like about the size of my house, essentially. I mean, they're hidden right next to certain. Like, they're not even on the main avenue. Like you would never know unless you knew or word of mouth. But they're in competition with the 4 other Rolex ADs here in Minnesota. You know, Wixon's Jewelers of Minneapolis. I believe there's one in the Mall of America. And then there's one all the way up in, like 2 more all the way up north. While they're not, what's the word I'm looking for? My boutique is independent and family owned, so obviously they're smaller. And they don't have near the flexibility nor the inventory or the I don't know the connections like Wixon's in Minneapolis. I mean, they're still in competition with them, and yeah, they're definitely going to be, in order to stay alive, there might be a little bit more flexibility there too. Since they're smaller, they can probably work out a little bit more better of a deal with you, honestly. But they're still just as competitive, don't get me wrong. And they still have got no problem disrespecting you and telling you to get fucked.
Yeah, you know, that's why I'm hesitating to say, because at the end of the day, then there's a good chance that authorized dealers that are not in very crowded metropolitan areas might be getting less allocation. So there will be perhaps just as much competition over a smaller number of watches, which doesn't make it easier at all. But I think you have to keep your options open. I know some authorized dealers go with the shtick, oh, we only sell to locals. In that case, again, I know a dozen of exceptions to the rule, you know, where people actually deal with, you know, dealers from another edge of a very big state, or, you know, 2 states over. it really depends. At the end of the day, you either have to luck out or you have to find a personal relationship, and 99% of the time it's not going to happen without having a history of purchases.
Right. And interestingly enough, my boutique asked me, so my sales rep asked me, she said, I know you shop around like a lot. And they follow me on Instagram. Like over half the staff follows me on Instagram. So I got to be careful what I post. But anyways, she asked me straight up, like out of the blue, and she wasn't even shy about it. Just straight up asked me, it's like, why don't you ever like do like a decent review for us? Because I'll occasionally pop into Wixon's, Continental Diamond, and I'll always kind of post like, hey, shout out to the exceptional staff, the yada yada yada, and I said, can I be honest with you, dear? Can I be honest? Somebody's watching, right? No, can I be honest? I gotta be honest.
Gotta tell you, yes.
Bear, calm down, Bear. Anyways, regardless to the point, I told her straight up. I said, look, don't take it personally. I said, but you're a tiny boutique, and I said, I mean that in a respectful manner, even if it doesn't come off like it. And I said, I hope that wasn't too inappropriate. She said, yeah, you got a point. And I said, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm greedy. I said, you're like a fishing hole to me. A fisherman doesn't tell you where all the best spots are to fish. And you girls have hooked me up with you've hooked me up with an Explorer, a Yachtmaster, a Milgauss. I'm not exactly going to be running around and telling everybody about your inventory. And I said, I'm more than happy to spread the word, get local punchers through the door, and talk about your beautiful diamond selection. But there's been a couple of times where they got rhodium Yachtmasters sitting in the case. They had a full rose gold GMT sitting in the case. So given that they're smaller, yeah, they get some rather, I wouldn't call it rare, but unusual pieces in. And I'm not really going to be running around announcing that to the entire world,
Or other, to put it another way, probably other, maybe more popular authorized dealers would either keep these pieces in a vault or already sell them right out of the door to a customer. Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, again, I keep this as an open platform to share anything and everything that I know, and I appreciate everyone here. So it's, to me, it's really a pleasure to do that. But I mean, I respect everyone who wants to keep certain kinds of knowledge and certain kinds of access to themselves. I mean, that's your right. That's your right.
Yeah.
Guys, with that being said, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. If you have enjoyed the stream so far, please upvote and share my channel. There are lots of interesting videos, lots of different kinds of videos. I'm introducing new segments. I started with the philosophy for the everyday, which is going to be daily, or at least a segment that I will be doing every other day. I'm doing one tomorrow, most probably. I'm going to introduce other segments as well. If you want me to do that, if you want me to produce new and original content, please consider making a PayPal donation to lordhellespontv@gmail.com. If you want to suggest any future topics for me, if you want me to delve into the history of a brand, if you want me to present the genealogy of a particular model or design, if you want me to advise you on an upcoming watch purchase in the vintage market or for a contemporary model, you can always contact me through that address with an attached nominal PayPal donation to lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I really appreciate you guys. We will be here for about 15 more minutes unless a very generous contribution with a nice question or topic comes up. But again, I want to thank you, Joe, for staying on with me. I want to thank OC and Mike for coming on earlier. it's been great chatting with all of you guys.
Always a pleasure to be here, Lord. Always a pleasure to be with the Lord.
No, well, that sounds very ominous. You can call me Hellespont or LHV. I'm fine with that. The Lord is one, and we will all meet our Maker one day. Hopefully later than sooner. But yes, it's always a pleasure. You know, joking aside, Joe, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Always a pleasure to be with you. Thomas says, do you have any experience with RSC dial replacement option for day dates, 36, 40, or 41 millimeter? Someone who, as you know, is very, very important to me, very dear to me. Marcelo has a 4-digit day date that that his father gave him, and I think it had a champagne dial originally. And when he got it serviced at the Rolex service center, he had that replaced with a very beautiful dark blue dial, like a navy blue dial. And I think it looks great and even better. And he kept the original dial as well. And that was that was one of those day dates that came on a leather strap with the matching buckle, matching gold buckle. I think they look great. You know, I like all the dial variations they have with the day dates, with the date justs. Nowadays, with even the Daytonas and some GMTs, the new Falcon's Eye, Fuck Me Dead dial they have for the Yachtmaster white gold. I appreciate that Rolex tries to do something different once every so often. And as you know, we are Rolex fanboys. So Rolex does, like, you know, one relatively common thing when you look from the perspective of the entire industry. When Rolex does it, it suddenly becomes something special. So I approve. If they let you keep your dial, try it next time you send it to service. I think it's worth your while.
I should have kept my original dial off the Millie. Oh, that's the one. Oh, it's gonna grind my gears forever.
Yeah. For your Millie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if in that case they would they let you keep your
I
original?
highly doubt it. No, I highly doubt they would have let me keep the damn thing.
Yeah, because just to give you guys a little bit of context, that actually, you know, in one of his farm adventures, Farmer Joe cracked the crystal and had to send his Milgauss to service. And I think the hands and dial were damaged in some way as well. So all of that needed to be replaced.
Well, what do you think that watch is worth nowadays? Like $4,500 since it's not original anymore.
Oh no! With look, with the service card, you have the whole package still, box and papers.
Yeah, I've got everything plus the card for the new dial.
Yeah, don't think like that. I think for a modern Rolex that has been taken care of by the RSC in that particular way, I don't think you will have lost much value. Ask other people too. You know, don't just take my word for it. But yeah, please, don't think that it helped the value or something. It's not like that, for sure. Thomas is asking, is there an online or other catalog of dial choices? For dial choices, you have to get a book like this. I'm gonna send the link in the chat. For dial choices and different kinds of options you have, this is the kind of book you're looking for. Rolex 3621 watches. This has basically different variations of dials and dial colors and dial configurations for a series of Rolex watches. I'm gonna drop the link in there, and I'm also gonna drop the link for the first class dials, which is the store here. So first, I will see Amazon Rolex 3621 watches. All right. Sorry, guys, this is taking a little bit. So there we go for the Amazon link to that book. And when it comes to first class dials, which is that California, LA establishment that you were talking about, Thomas, that would be right here. Did it go through?
Yeah.
All right. So these are the two. Yes. How are the lambs doing, or was there just one?
Oh no, we're when we look at this year's overview, I've probably got about 30 plus lambs in, 27 ewes in. I've got maybe about 10 to 15 more to come in. So it's nice to be nearly done. So it's going to be nice to go back to normal hours, because like an average day for me is wake up at like 9, 10 in the morning, go all the way till 2, 3:30 in the morning. So yeah, it's like 17 to 18 hours. Don't get me wrong, I sneak a nap in every now and then, or just fuck around. But yeah, it's getting to the point where I'm tired of it, and I want to go back to a normal schedule, because I mean that's literally like an entire month for me where I just sit home and just do. I wouldn't say nothing, but like it's the sheep. It's very, you got to be on top of stuff, because there's so many things that can go wrong in a very stupid way. So it's not like I can go out to the bars and have a drink, or go out and have a nice dinner. It's just, if I need to leave home, get gas, get food, get stuff, do it. I got like maybe 2-3 hours. I'm gonna be back here and go back down to the barn and check things. So yeah, I'm just, like I said, things are running smooth. We started off rough, but looks like we're gonna end on a positive note.
Good. Good, man. Thomas asks, do you keep guardian dogs, Joe?
No. And that's something I've actually been looking into here for a while. But I keep guard donkeys. Donkeys are, the running joke is donkeys are historically dumb. And there is some truth to that, honestly. But they're also fairly territorial of their own space. So the general consensus is, if you're going to have sheep, a donkey does a great job of protecting from predators. So every time you put sheep into a new pen, you put the sheep in first and then the donkey, because then the donkey then just assumes that's everything in that pen belongs to them and that's their territory. If you flip it, the donkey becomes hostile and doesn't like its space being invaded. So, but as far as guard dogs, I've actually looked into it. I've been wanting to get another border collie for quite some time. they're kind of rare to find nowadays. And when you do find them, they're about, I mean, the last one I seen was $1,200, and that's without shots, vaccinations, or anything. You kind of have to figure that in. But I hear they're starting to push $2,500 now for a border collie.
Oh yeah, I mean, since the lockdown, especially like well-bred, purebred dogs, it's out of control. It's out of control. Birdcase says, Joe, are you located by Faribault or Owatonna? I appraised some properties out there a long time ago.
We're kind of
It's into that much detail.
Well, no, I mean, I'm still far away from both areas. But I would say probably closer to Faribault, but I'm still like hours away from that area.
Mm. Okay. Thomas says, I have an old school Landseer. What kind of dog is that? I don't think I've seen.
I don't know.
Okay, let me see. Share.
Oh, one of these things. Okay.
It's a Canadian kind of.
Yeah, these things get pretty big now. I've heard that they're great for protecting, but I hear they're a one master dog too. They don't get along with people in general, so they only answer to one master. And I actually did consider them at one point in time, but the guy that I was actually talking to about him, he said, "Is there anybody else going to be in the pen with it?" And I said, "I don't know, occasionally." He said, you need to get them used to it. Otherwise, if anybody else but you walked in that pen, they're going to come after them." And I said, I really don't need a lawsuit on my hands, honestly. So
basically, they're a similar breed to the Newfoundland.
Yeah, they're like, kind of like I don't know, a beefed up Saint Bernard almost.
Imagine. The Saint Bernards are already huge. Yeah. Yeah. They actually, I mean, I don't know. You can't tell that from the picture, of course, but it kind of feels like they're quite friendly dogs, or they can be at least. I don't know, but I'll take your word.
Well, anything can be friendly. Like the problem is, like, if you're raising it to do a job, I think that's the problem. Any dog can be domesticated. I won't say any, but a good majority of them can be, which is probably half the problem with. See, I want a border collie really bad, but the problem with them is they can be domesticated too quickly, or easily. So I've heard of some people saying like, well, if you get a border collie, you realize that you're going to run the chance of. You got to have very little contact with it, and if it gets its bell rung, if it gets kind of in a pinch or it gets attacked one too many times, they'll kind of pussy out and no longer want to do it anymore. So then you just got a regular dog on your hand.
I mean, border collies are really cute enough, and the size is not too large that they can go both ways. You know,
they're built for speed, honestly, and that's what the primary. They're not really so much as guard dogs, but they're built for herd dogs, honestly.
Yeah.
So they're meant to kind of cover ground fairly quickly, and they have high stamina, so they can run for for hours.
But I was saying, like, you know, if they do get too domesticated, like you said, you know, they should be just fine as a companion dog as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, expect a little more from a herd dog. From a shepherd, so to speak.
Yeah.
Guys, it's almost 3, so I'm going to have last word from Joe, and then we are going to close. If you haven't upvoted yet, please do so. If you haven't subscribed, I'll be more than honored to have you among my subscribers as I try to edge closer to 1,000. check out my other videos. And if you want to encourage me to create new content, create new segments, come up with more original ideas, get more equipment to create something unique here, please consider a PayPal contribution at lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this live stream with your questions and with your requests and with all the great conversation you have provided in the chat and on the panel, especially OC, Big Meech, Mike, Thomas, Chunkster, of course, George Voorhees, all of you guys who have constantly interacted, Bert K. I really appreciate all of you. Aussie Expat, of course, my recurring co-host, 49's Fine. Chunkster has been a great supporter of this channel. 49, you know, 49's Fine and you have been here from the very beginning, pushing me from the chat. I really appreciate it. Apollo Prospector, Messaging Matters, DP, all of you guys. I love you. M3, 6 Speed. It's great. It's great having you part of this channel. What do you say, Joe?
Yeah, and my parting words of wisdom is this: don't be silly, wrap your willy.
Thank you for those wise words. John C. as well. I'm just trying to make sure I don't forget anyone. Pavel was with us at the very beginning here. Blue Dial Blue dropped by earlier. Diego was here. Hoff on Smash dropped by. Trading Profits, of course. Dixie Normie. John Galt. Am I missing anyone? Hopefully not. Captain Kirk, of course, J617, Eric L, BK, love you all, Cyrus, Orange Grove, Sparkles, guys, Peter Santos, all of you, P Clan, thank you for supporting the channel. Upvote if you haven't. Patricia, I love you all. Angelic Slayer, please spread the word. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Andrew, MLMJ, take care. I will see you all in the next one, and on the Archie Luxury live stream too, of course. Bye, guys.